We're pleased to be rejoined now by former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik, who is live at our Newsmax New York studios. And also joining us now is Ron Hosko. Ron is a former assistant director of the FBI and is currently president of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. Ron, thanks for being with us. Bernie, I want to pick up with you where we left off. We were talking about Al Sharpton and also the anti-police rhetoric that has come from New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. Now, we saw that clip from Rudy Giuliani, who worked so hard to change the reputation of New York City. Is there any way forward for Bill de Blasio here to develop or restart a relationship with the New York City Police Department?
I think the first thing he has to do is tell the people of New York City the truth. Tell the people of New York City that they don't have to fear the New York City police officers, that New York City police officers are not racist, that New York City Police Departments, the officers, when they go into those minority communities, they're going there to serve those communities and benefit those communities, not that they're going there to target, to harass, or instigate problems with the minority communities. That statement he made last week or a couple weeks ago, where he said that the dangers his son may face, in encountering a New York City cop, that's insanity.
Now,
that's
Ron,
insanity. Why would you? I don't get it.
And it's obvious, it's caused a lot of backlash. We see this from the police union in New York, also officers turning their back on the mayor as well. Ron, I wanted to ask you, this is something that de Blasio ran on as part of his platform when he ran for mayor, having a friendlier relationship, trying to do things like stopping the stop and frisk policy. But is this, in your opinion, a case study on how not to deal with the police department when you're newly elected mayor of a major city?
Very much so. De Blasio campaigned, as you said, in essentially an anti-police campaign. I wish that there was a big reset button that we could hit as a nation, that de Blasio's hand would be on, the attorney general's, the president's, because for 4 months we have heard this discussion cast in terms of race and heavy-handed policing. And I agree with the former commissioner that if you look at violent crime rates across our country falling for 20 years, smart policing around our country in New York and many other places where violent crime rates are on a decline, that's because of our police, because of their efforts, because of their community engagement. And I think we've had a false narrative for 4 months now.
All right, well, let's take a listen to what Patrick Lynch said, who's the head of the chief of the police union there in New York, about this incident. Let's take a listen.
That blood on the hands starts on the steps of City Hall in the office of the mayor.
Now, either do you think, and Ron, we'll start with you, and then Bernie will get your reaction real quick. Do you see any chance here that de Blasio is stepping down, or do you think what position does this put Bill Bratton in, the current New York City Police Commissioner? Ron, we'll start with you real quickly, and then head to you, Bernie.
I don't see any chance of the mayor stepping down. I hope he steps back from some of the comments and that he walks back from that. I agree with Mr. Kerik on de Blasio's comments about how he raises his son. I think that's a conversation every father has with his son, what to do when you encounter the police or when they pull you over. That's every kid being a smart kid and thoughtful about how they engage with the police. It's respect for the police. I hope de Blasio can step back from it. We're in a very difficult place in New York City.
And let me ask you, Bernie, since you've been in this situation, what kind of position does this put Bill Bratton in?
It puts him in a very difficult spot, but I've known Bratton a long time. I have an enormous amount of respect for him. The cops will follow him as a leader. Hopefully he stays on long enough to get this thing sorted out, because right now, people said that he should step down. Honestly, I think if he stepped down, there would be a mutiny within the police department. So he's got to stay where he is. He's got to lead the PD. He's got to get the cops back on track and make sure that they feel supported and feel like they're being indemnified by the city, because that is not what they're getting from the mayor.
All right, well, we're going to have to leave that part of the conversation here for a second. Bernard Kerik, thanks for being with us for these first 2 segments. Ron Hosko, we're going to get you to stick around. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Sony attack and what's next on that front. But Bernard Kerik, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, John.
All right, much more to come here on America's Forum. We'll be right back. Ron Hosko, former deputy director of the FBI, sticking around. Please